Farhan from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, I am an Indian, so I'm that fluent in Arabic. So when I pray, can I pray with not correctly pronouncing the ayn and the letters? Because if I do so, it takes me a very long time, and I also want to practice reciting it fast, because then I can recite it fast when I pray behind the imam. So when I'm praying at home, can I do it fast and not correctly and to the point, pronouncing the ayn and the swad and the za correctly?
No, you have to recite it correctly to the best of your ability without repeating it. Now, repeating it is an issue. If you say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, and you repeat on, no, this is not acceptable. But to recite it quickly, knowingly that you are missing it, like saying, like saying, nabudu. No, this is not accepted, because you can say na'budu. Maybe you cannot say it properly, na'budu. You can say na'budu. That's fine, inshallah. Talha from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam.
Sheikh, hope all is well. Sheikh, many years ago, before I reverted, obviously I took out a student loan, sadly, and it's obviously quite a chunk now. Keeps going up because of the interest. Here in the UK, there's been a lot of chat by politicians. People have been talking about how unfair the interest rates are, etc. So for me to pay that off is going to be some time. Now I wanted to know if, obviously when I get married, I need to provide a certain life for my spouse, so she say what she's accustomed to before. So if I wanted to go on holidays or do outings, obviously if I neglected doing those things, I ain't gonna have a wife for a long time. I won't have a wife for long, she'll end up divorcing me. So how do I weigh up paying that back, which can take a long time, and also going for Hajj and other things and providing a decent lifestyle for her? And may Allah bless you, your parents, have mercy upon them and your future generations, and may He guide our community, our Muslim community, through your grandsons or any children, any of future generations.
Ameen. Jazakallah khair. First of all, you don't have to provide for your wife the same living standard she had at her father's house. This is not true. You have to provide for her in accordance to your standards, to your ability and affordability. Secondly, your debts are either paid on monthly basis, so you have a timetable that you're abiding by, a chunk of your income is going to them, so you'll clear it out in, let's say, 3 years, 4 years, or you don't. Whatever you save, you just throw at them, and that would be much faster. If it's the first, then there's no problem in organizing your time, your holidays, your Hajj and Umrah, according to what is remaining from the monthly payment you give back to the government. If it's the latter, in this case, you have to make it clear to your wife, and it's not true that if you don't take your wife on holiday or on Umrah, she'll divorce you. This is not true. You have chosen the wrong woman. A real decent Muslim woman would not make this an issue. The companions of the Prophet ﷺ's wives were not so demanding. We've never heard that some of them took their wives to Glasgow, up in Scotland, every couple of years on holiday. This was not mentioned to us. So having some women with such anticipation is not the norm. The norm is that a Muslim woman looks at how her husband is struggling and trying to make ends meet, paying off his debts and trying to secure and balance a good style of living for her, and she appreciates that.